What is up with it, everybody? Live from the studios of WIUR at the Murphy Center at Iona University. Welcome back to Woolley Mammoth Mondays. I'm your host, Cam Woolley, and I'll be keeping you company throughout the 2 o'clock hour, talking a little sports here. Not really that much to talk about. We do have the NBA playoffs coming up on Saturday. The New York Knicks hosting the Atlanta Hawks. That's going to be a series. I mean, obviously Trae Young not there anymore, but we're going to talk about, big standards for the Knicks. But we're going to start talking with some baseball. The Yankees last night had a wild come from behind win, and it was just crazy. They were up, then they were down, then they were up, then they were down again. Then in the ninth inning, they came back to win. They walked it off. But I got a funny little story from last night. So, for those who don't know, you can live bet somehow. If you somehow don't know, sports betting is everywhere. It's in our faces. I work for a network that's predicated around sports betting. Like, that's how big it is now. But basically, you can live bet on the games, and the odds, they move throughout the game. So basically, last night after, dude, this microphone seems so loose. Dude, I gotta tighten this down. Can I tighten this down? Hold on. Let me see if I can tighten this. Can I tighten this? Hold on. Sorry if I'm making any weird noises. But jeez, man. What the hell? Okay, anyways. So last night, after Judge makes it 8-7 in the Yankees' favor, of course, his second homer, he's been really good lately. I was never like worried about him. Kinda. I was like, oh, wait, he's 34. That aging curve. He might go from God to just a regular star. But basically, I see that the Angels' money line is plus 280. So I figure there's no way this bullpen's holding this lead. So I throw $5 on the Angels' money line to profit 14. And then, as my brilliant foresight predicted, the Yankees end up giving up 3 runs because that bullpen sucks. And Camilo Doval came in, and then when Mike Trout came up and he hit that home run, I'm going to get to Mike Trout later, but when he hit that home run, the odds moved, and I ended up getting a pretty generous cash out. And then later, it started at like $9, then it moved to 12. I think it was like $12.50 or something. And then I see that it's 10-8. I think it's the top of the 9th or the bottom of the 8th, whatever. And I see that the cash out is like $12.50 out of the potential 14. I realize that Jordan Romano is the Angels' closer, or he's in their bullpen. I see something on my Twitter timeline about Jordan Romano, and I'm like, oh, we own Jordan Romano. And the Angels bullpen in general I don't think they've ever had pitching in my entire time as a diehard baseball fan, going back to like 2017, really. Because I didn't get into the Yankees, really get into the Yankees until Judge's rookie year. So, I was into them a little bit before, but then that was right at the tail end of the Jeter years. But whatever. And so I take the cash out. I take my $12.50, and then the rest of the game happens. We know Romano comes in, Grisham hits the home run. A few things happen later. A wild pitch, Caballero scores, Yankees win. So last night, I just won all across the board. So I feel like a genius for what I did that night. Now, most of the time, I'm not a genius. I am very stupid. People who listen to me talk know that I am not very intelligent. I just say things to say things, and I'm very good at how I emotionally say them. But anyways, I've got 5 takeaways from last night. This is something new that I want to do. I want to start formatting stuff a little better. I've got 5 points that I really want to drive home that I've thought of while preparing for this. From last night, that's the kind of win, and it's a big win. It was great. You're down 2 in the ninth. You have the home runs and everything. It's back and forth. You're on a 5-game losing streak where the vibes are just decrepit. And then you have you pull a rabbit out of your hat, win like that. But that's the kind of win that you really need to build off of in order for it to mean anything. I remember times where the Yankees had big wins like that in the middle of skids, and then they fell back off. If, say, they end up taking this series, and then after this, they go on to, let me pull up the Yankee schedule here real quick. And say they take the series against the Angels, they win 3 or 4, maybe, God willing, they sweep. Then they win the series against the Royals. That makes things feel a lot better going into Fenway Park next week. Also, boy, this is real early for that. I thought, because I remember the last couple of years, the Yankees haven't really played the Red Sox until later. Like June, they didn't start playing them. It's like I was already home for summer by then. And so it feels a little off. But regardless, if the vibes are high enough and we build off it, so again, winning the series against the Angels, winning the series against the Royals, you feel all of a sudden a lot better going into Fenway Park because chances are you're leading the American League East. And you're going into a building where the team who's hosting you is, to put it very lightly, not really clicking on all cylinders. Again, that's putting it incredibly lightly. The Boston Red Sox have been awful to begin the year. And I love saying it, dude. I mean, they're tough. I mean, Crochet last night, oh my God, he gave up 10 runs in 1 2/3. It was hysterical. Dude, that game, it's very rare where a pitcher can lose the Cy Young in one game. That's one of those games. His stats are just so awful by now. I mean, I'm gonna look at the stats. Dude, he's one of the top 10 most searched players on Fangraphs. His ERA on the year now in 4 starts ballooned up to 7.58. Hold on, let me do some. I did not expect this to be the thing at all. I swear I have a method to this, but I'm just curious. I'm just very, very curious going into his game log here, rather, to see whether just going into going before last night, this year. Okay, need to go back a little further apparently. His ERA on the year up until last night was 3.12 and his FIP was 2.61. So, all things considered, he was having a great year. His ERA more than doubled. And his FIP went up by over 2 whole runs or whatever it's not runs for FIP, but you get my point. That might have cost him the Cy Young. So anyways, yeah, Boston, they're reeling. If you can string together a few wins going into Fenway Park, who knows? Maybe you can really take it to him. Maybe sweep him. I don't know. But yeah, that's this win only matters if they really build off it. Which brings me to my second point. Dude, this bullpen's a problem. The lack of depth in this bullpen was an issue coming into the beginning of the year. And I don't know if I said this last week or if I said it somewhere else, but by game 8, I know I texted somebody this. I said after Camilo Doval had a rough outing, I think it was against the Marlins. I said, I'm like, yo, I just want it to be noted that game 8, I recognize that Camilo Doval is not built for this at all to be the setup man. And sure enough, Let's look at the numbers here. Camilo Doval on the year has an ERA of 7.36. Sure, like his FIP is nearly 4 runs lower at 3.46, but dude, this is a guy who relied on strikeout stuff, hasn't gotten it. Like his Ks per nine from 2024 to now is a whole 3 strikeouts per 9 innings lower. And I gotta tell you, I'm not happy about it. I mean, his home run rate is higher. I assume that's gonna climb down somewhat. But dude, it is bad. It is very, very bad with Camilo Doval. And again, with relievers, I know they have wacky little peripherals, and I understand that it's volatile. But at the end of the day, dude, you're there to get results. Above all else, you are there to prevent runs, prevent stress, and get out of innings without any damage. Camilo Doval has not done that. And I'm thinking about the other guys in this bullpen. Dude, Jake Bird. Oh my God. You cannot be serious with Jake Bird. This dude sucks. I thought he was an interesting little buy low case. I know Brian Cashman has been very good at finding these guys. And who knows? Maybe he found that in Brent Hedrick. He's not one of the guys I hate. You get that with Tim Hill. Dude, he's been really good. Let's look at did he not pitch well last night? It would break my heart if he didn't. But yeah, anyways, on the year, he has an ERA of 1.13 and a FIP of 2.44. He hasn't walked anybody. He hasn't given up a single home run. This dude limits damage. And he gets ground balls. The ultimate low cortisol guy. Tim Hill should be our closer. I am so serious when I say that. Because when you think of a closer, you think of a guy who's low stress. A guy who comes in, you're like, okay, we're fine. But no, he's been relegated to be the fireman in the 5th inning when all the guys ahead of him should be trusted less. And the worst thing is, this is a problem that we all see. And it's very apparent to everybody who's watching, except the guys in charge. There are guys in AAA who can come up. Dude, Carlos Legrande is right there. You're telling me he can't come up and be a reliever? And I understand that the starting rotation's hurt. They're beaten down a lot. I get it. But are we forgetting the kind of season they came off of last year? Again, where they literally lost the division by a single game. If they won one more game, they would have gotten home field advantage throughout the entire playoffs. They would have had the best record in baseball. Or no, they wouldn't have had the best record in baseball. But going in the American League, they would have been the top seed in the American League. And the one time they made it to the World Series. And if they played the Dodgers, the series would have been played mostly at Yankee Stadium. And who knows, maybe with the Blue Jays, maybe the Red Sox beat them. And we know, in the Red Sox without Roman Anthony, especially, although even with Roman Anthony this year, they suck so far. But again, hey, it's April. That's another point I'm going to get to later. But the Red Sox, I mean, you don't have Crochet pitching game 1 in that series. Who knows? So, but the point is that year, that whole situation, their odds of winning a championship plummeted because they let these problems persist for way too long. We know the bullpen's a problem, but the worst thing is they're going to let them blow 10 more games. And then we're going to be sitting here in July where we're coming up on the trade deadline and we're listening to all these names that the Yankees are supposedly interested in. And I know they're going to make trades. I know. They're going to bring in a lot of guys. I get it. They always make moves at the deadline, right at the last minute because Brian Cashman just procrastinates. But all offseason, we knew this was a problem. And now, in the early goings of the regular season, we know it is a massive problem. Dude, what is going on with my Twitter? Whatever. But anyways, like I knew this game 8. We are now well past game 8. The Yankees are 9-7. So we're at they've played double the amount of games and the same problems are persisting. And as the year goes on, and with the more games that they lose because of the bullpen, it's just gonna persist. And they're not gonna do anything about it. And also David Bednar, dude. Well, what is it? Okay, what is it with us and not being able to get a closer who doesn't give us heart attacks and doesn't blow games? Because I thought coming into this year, okay, David Bednar, that's a guy who I can rely on. He's rock solid. No, apparently he's another guy who needs to, at bare minimum, have 2 runners on base in order for him to get outs. And it bit him in the ass in Tampa Bay. Although that series, good Lord, yo, if the Yankees lost last night, oh my God, I would have been seething. But anyways, enough about the bullpen. My third takeaway, dude, Will Warren is always just 1 out away from being a good pitcher. And I know Caballero had the error. I understand it. But all of the damage after that, Will Warren. Like, I swear, dude, this dude is just so frustrating to watch because you'll watch him pitch through like the first 3, maybe 4 innings, and you think, oh my God, this dude's cruising. Maybe we have something here. And then in the very next inning, he gets 2 outs. And then after that, he just falls apart, off the bone. It's like you see one of those videos where it's like a turkey leg or a chicken leg or whatever, like pork, like pork ribs or whatever, just falling off the bone, clean off with 2 outs and like maybe partway through the second time through the order. And he always ends up giving up at least 2 runs, which with this bullpen, you can't trust this bullpen to get you. Now, I don't even trust them to get 6 outs a game at this point, but much less 15. If your starter doesn't have his best stuff the entire game, dude, you're setting yourself up, and it's a snowball effect. Again, going back to the stupid bullpen. But again, Will Warren, I mean, he's just so frustrating, and I don't want him in this rotation once everyone's healthy. Like, I'm talking about even when, like when when it's Cole, Fried, Schlittler, and Rodon, the 5 starter should be Ryan Weathers. He pitched phenomenally. And it's a shame that his start didn't get more recognition because he shut down a pretty underrated lineup that the A's have. Saved the bullpen too, but whatever. And this bullpen, they need all the rest they can get. God, dude. But anyways, Will Warren, just super frustrating. And I know he has good stuff. He has the good sweeper. Again, every time I watch him through the first couple innings, I'm like, this guy might have something. Okay, he's a good kid. Yeah, good 5 starter, whatever. And I understand he's our 5 starter in the future at worst. But right now, as our 3, I do not like that one bit. It icks me the frick out that he is a very trusted arm in this rotation in a year where we're talking about every game mattering. Dude, like with the division last year, that is a thought that is very fresh on our minds. We don't want to hear about the bigger picture because even when we did that last year, the bigger picture suffered because of it. You're not putting yourself into pole position when you're making lackadaisical decisions like that, where you're just, oh yeah, we'll worry about it later. We'll worry about it later. Yeah, we're gonna lose 15 games because of it right now, but yeah, later at the trade deadline, yeah, we'll be fine. Whatever. We can't do that. Sorry, I just got a text from my boss about something, but it's Sports Grid. Shout out Rebecca. She's fantastic. She's great. But yeah, no, not Will Warren. No bueno. He's not good as a 3 starter, but if he can just get that third out in those innings, he can be pretty good. Anyways, fourth takeaway, dude, hop off Trent Grisham. Bro's just good. Good ball player. And even when he was bad, dude, his peripherals were great. Looking at right now, his xWOBA is 394. That's elite. And let's look on Baseball Savant real quick. Let's look at Trent Grisham's Baseball Savant, shall we? Going on the website here, waiting for the Iona Wi-Fi to load up. But, dude, like Trent Grisham, like coming into this year, I was like, okay, I don't like paying Trent Grisham $22 million. I don't trust him to repeat it. But, dude, I'm looking at his Baseball Savant right now. It's crimson. His hard hit percentage is in the 98th percentile, which is absurd. He's not chasing. Like, his plate discipline is outstanding. He's walking significantly more than he's striking out, which for a leadoff hitter is great. And now the hits are starting to come a little more. He hit 2 home runs last night in a pinch hit role, by the way. He's barreling the ball a lot in the 80th percentile. His expected slugging percentage is in the 78th percentile. His xWOBA is in the 87th percentile. So a whole lot of great stuff here. His fielding isn't great, but what are you going to do? But he has been just very good. Very, very good this year. Like, I am liking, like, the process is there for Grisham, and it's only a matter of time before things start really clicking, because these are the things that really matter. Like, I don't know what he did last year. I'm sure there's some think piece that someone did on it. But last year, I mean, his xWOBA numbers jumped significantly. I mean, even going back to July in his first year, if Trent Grisham's the starting left fielder for the Yankees in that playoff run, they maybe win the World Series. Who knows? But I digress. But yeah, Trent Grisham, he's been good this year. He has a 110 WRC plus now on the year. So, good for him. Really good. Really, really, really good. But my last point that I want to make, and I said I was going to talk about Mike Trout. Here's the point on Mike Trout. I just want to say, after last night when he hit 2 home runs, driving in 5 runs on said homers, and still his team let him down to lose the game. Shocker. I just want to put it out there for any Redditors who want to complain about him not winning. He chose to stay in Anaheim. He signed the dotted line, and the second he did that, I stopped feeling bad for him. Because again, he chose this. He chose it. He could have gotten that money from anybody. The main speculation when he was about to be a free agent was the Phillies. He could have gotten that money from us. He could have gotten that money from the Dodgers. Oh, God forbid he was on the Dodgers. But he could have gotten that money from anybody. And I'm just going to say right now, I don't feel bad for him. He chose to stay. And, hey, good for him for being loyal. But I'm not going to sit here and say that, I feel so bad for him. He really has no control over what's happening. I mean, I know he's had the injuries and it sucks. I mean, God willing, he has a really healthy year. I don't think it's going to happen, but because that's just not who he is anymore, it sucks. But he's a great player, and he showed that he's still great. I mean, last night, I'm like, hey, dude, that's just Mike Trout. I can't really get mad at that. On the year, he has a WRC plus of 152. He's doing great. He's only batting 224, which is shocking. But his xWOBA is 476. Oh, my God. Yeah, that's the highest mark that it's been in his whole career. So, we could be in for a really good year from Mike Trout, a vintage Mike Trout at 34 years old. Wouldn't that be something? Man, Mike Trout. But again, he chose to stay. I'm not going to feel bad for him. He voluntarily stayed there. So I guess like the last point that I want to really drive home is like before we go to break and then go to the Mets is I'm not allowing myself to seriously get mad at the Yankees until June at the earliest. That is a rule, a hard line that I drew in concrete this year. I'm a new man. I am not getting mad over the Yankees in April. I am waiting until June. I'm waiting until I'm back in New Jersey and we're back in the swing of things because, it's April. I'm not allowing myself to get mad. It's not good for me emotionally. I will allow myself to performatively get mad. Say for say I need to make something, I'll get performatively mad. Like I'll juice myself up like I did today, but I will not actually get mad. Like you're not going to catch me stewing after a bad loss. It's like even on the 5-game losing streak, I was like, whatever. I guess because I've just always been checked out from this team now. It's like I know what's happening. Like I know what's coming, and I know everything that happens with this team. Anyways, I'm gonna go to a quick break here. I've been rambling for a little while here. When we get back, the New York Mets, that's a team still on a skid. Gonna have 5 takeaways from their little skid. Back after this.
Untouchable, unstoppable.
This is WIUR Sports Radio.
Hi, I'm Robbie Basil, president of WIUR Radio, and I hope you're enjoying today's show. Have you ever wanted to call the biggest games, the biggest moments for the biggest names for Iona Athletics? Then the newly founded WIUR Sports Radio is the place to be. Launched in January of 2025, our goal is to try and get broadcasters here at Iona an opportunity to learn, succeed, and get a chance to be on air. From getting to call the big moments at the hack.
Dinkins trying to go to the rack. Denied. Yafet Mundi.
To seeing the crack of the bat at City Park.
The line drive in the left field, around third, and it kicks away. The Gales are going to win it in 10.
We make those moments happen on our brand new WIUR Sports Radio platform on Mixer. If you're interested, feel free to reach out to me via email or to the rest of my e-board to join the club. We are WIUR Sports Radio, the new home of Iona Athletics. Now, back to the show on WIUR, Iona University Radio.
All right, we are back. Going to be talking some Mets here, and my God, it is bad, folks. Very, very, very bad. On a 6-game losing streak, they have been shut out in 3 of their last 4 games. They have had 2 separate stretches in this time where they have been shut out 17 innings in a row. For those who can't keep track of that, that is 1 inning short of 2 full games worth. I know the Yankees last year had a stretch where they were shut out for like 29 straight innings. So, although, wait, no, that's 3. Were they shut out 3? That sounds like something that the Yankees would do. But anyways, I got a few takeaways from this, starting with, Carlos Mendoza's ass is on fire. Following last year's collapse, where they had the best record in baseball and then missed the playoffs, blowing a 15-game lead in the process. We're like, if it gets to mid-May, even they might not even make it that far, but if it gets to mid-May and we're still talking about the Mets like this, say they're like 12 games under 500, yeah, he's gone. And right now, his seat's hot, hence his ass being on fire. But yeah, dude, it is bad. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff talking about players not putting in effort. It's getting to a point, and you might just need to cut bait with the dude entirely. Because the Mets, unlike the Yankees, are actually proactive a bit when it comes to letting managers go, because Aaron Boone can do whatever he wants and he won't get fired. Like he could say some heinous things and he'll still keep his job. But and the Yankees could finish a year like 10 games below 500 and he'd still be there. But the Mets, they actually fire people. And Carlos Mendoza, he's definitely a candidate for one of those firings. It's got to change, and it's got to change quick, or else he's unemployed. Not shocking though, he was Aaron Boone's bench coach. I don't know why people thought he was going to be this great manager. I mean, I thought he was a good manager before, but I mean, geez, now I'm still giving him time here. And another thing, this is my second takeaway here. What was the point of letting all these guys walk or trading them? You let Pete, Nimmo, McNeil, and Diaz. And those are just the four I can name off the top of my head. You let all of them either walk or you trade them. All in the name of, oh, no, we have a vision. We're making the team better. It's going to be good. It's going to be fine. Yeah, no, dude. Like, I'm just saying right now, in a stretch of bad offense, I mean, you could look to Pete Alonso. You could look to Brandon Nimmo. You could look to Jeff McNeil for offense, and it's not coming out of either of them. Like Jorge Polanco. I mean, let me look up his numbers. Wow, what the hell is Jorge Polanco doing this year? He has a 66 WRC plus so far. That's the Pete Alonso replacement. You have a guy who's never really played first in his career. You spot him at first to replace the guy who literally just broke your franchise's home run record. And the first, I just want to get this out of the way. I don't think there was any conspiracy theory with Lindor and I'm going to get to him later, but with Lindor and his wife and the politics over everything. I think they just walked or they were traded because David Stearns was in over his head. There was this air of arrogance in that room, even after like missing out on the playoffs and this just historic, just slow, painful collapse last year. But they still thought, yeah, we're going to let everybody walk or whatever. Yeah, all the people who weren't problems. And you just make a problem even worse by getting rid of things that weren't problems. Also, speaking of a problem, this rotation, my third takeaway here, this rotation, it kind of sucks. I'm going to be very honest. This Mets rotation, when I really think about it, there's only two, maybe three. There's like three arms where you're like, okay, yeah, they're really good. Although, wait, no, there's like four arms. Okay, but still, you got like Nolan McLean. Obviously, Nolan McLean, he's great. But dude, David Peterson, dog, what are we doing? 6.41 ERA on the year. And I think, hold on, there was a stat that somebody was graceful enough to give me this stat last night because with David Peterson, we were talking about the Mets. Hold on, I need to scroll up. Yeah, his ERA since he threw a complete game shutout last year, 5.43. Yep. That is how bad David Peterson has been. Now, I mean, Freddie Peralta, too. I mean, he hasn't really been great. I mean, the home run rate is really high, which I expect to come down, but Freddie Peralta hasn't been great so far. An ERA of 3.86, you expected him to be better. Clay Holmes, I mean, sure, but Kodai Senga. Dude. 7.07 ERA. A lot of these guys are, all of the guys I mentioned except for Nolan McLean are north of 30. Or at or above 30. Which I know for pitchers isn't a death sentence, but I mean, so far this rotation has not been good. McLean and Holmes have been the only guys who have thrown well. And Holmes, his ERA is due for some negative regression because his FIP is over 2 runs higher than his ERA. He's not striking out a lot of guys. Sure, he's getting ground balls, but again, to how sustainable is that? I mean, the bullpen's been good. Devin Williams hasn't given up a single earned run yet. And yeah, well, good for him. Luke Weaver, ERA of 8.1. Oof. Although that's just a couple games. I mean, again, reliever stats are odd. But again, his FIP is 5.29. Luke Weaver might not be all that this year. Craig Kimbrell's been good in his 2 games. Hasn't walked anyone, which, hey, great. Good for him. But again, dude, this pitching is showing some cracks. The hitting, I mean, I just talked about how bad the hitting was. And yeah, I was talking about Lindor before. Dude, it might be getting to a point with Francisco Lindor. Might. Not is. It just might be. Lindor so far on the year has no RBIs. Absolutely 0 RBIs on the year. In 17 games, 79 plate appearances, he has not driven in a single run. His WRC plus is 64. His on-base percentage is 291, and he's only slugging 250. It's not good. It's just not. And he's had a couple of bad plays, and it's very, very frustrating. Like, if I were a Met fan, I think it's a little ridiculous of the Lindor slander, but it's kind of getting to a point with Lindor where, dude, you might need to start thinking about like some stuff where the narrative might change. Now, I just want to end off with this, with the takeaways here. I still think they're going to bounce back ultimately. This is a front office that I ultimately have faith in. This is a team that I ultimately have faith in. And as a Yankee fan, as a pessimist, I just ultimately think that the Mets are going to be the better team in town. Now, that might not be saying much because the Yankees aren't that good. But the Mets, I think they're going to bounce back. I think there's enough of a structure there. But if it doesn't get better soon, I'm going to change my mind so quick. And that's when they're going to bounce back, when I change my mind on them. And all of a sudden, like, dude, like, just to round everything off, dude, April's just a goofy month in baseball. The Pirates are 10-6. The Twins are 10-7. Do we seriously expect either of those teams to make the playoffs? Come on. No. And the Blue Jays are 6-9. Like, the Blue Jays, like, they're not a 6-9 team. We know that, or whatever their win percentage is. I can't calculate it off the top of my head, but they're a lot better than their record dictates, and the Pirates and Twins are a lot worse than their records dictate. So just take everything with a grain of salt. Anyways, when we get back, the NBA playoffs, the New York Knicks and the Atlanta Hawks, a rematch of 2021's insane series. No Trae Young, but the march to the NBA Finals for the New York Knicks starts on Saturday, and I'm going to talk all about it when we get back.
This is WIUR Radio.
Hi, I'm Morgan Beastie from the Ionian, and I hope you're enjoying today's show. Are you looking for the latest scoop on campus news, sports, and more? Check out the Ionian University's very own award-winning student newspaper. We keep you up to date with everything happening on and off campus. Want to know about the big game, the latest campus event? It's all in the Ionian. Join the conversation. Read, write, and get involved. Visit www.theionian.org or pick up a copy around campus. Stay informed, stay connected. Now, back to WIUR, Iona University Radio.
All right, we're back. Going to be talking about some NBA playoffs here, and I think we're going to round out the show there. You know, the New York Knicks, Atlanta Hawks, first round going to be Saturday night. The Knicks, the third seed in the Eastern Conference with a 53-29 record. Just about what you would expect from the Knicks at this point. They're a good team. We know what they are. It's the same group that they've come in with, and the standard's there for the Knicks. We know what it is. They've been in the playoffs the last 2 years. They've gone on runs. They've disappointed both times at the hands of the Indiana Pacers. The standard's there, dude. Finals appearance or bust for the New York Knicks. And even more so, I'm gonna look at the standings here. Yeah, there's no Pacers in the playoffs. They had a 19-63 record. They sucked this year. So your boogeyman's out. One of your boogeymen is out. The Hawks are one of those boogeymen now. And I know no Trae Young. I understand. I know he's not on the Hawks anymore, because if he was, that would have been the story of the first round. But again, with the Knicks, the group's the group. We know what they have. They have Jalen Brunson. They have Karl Anthony Towns. They have OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, Mitchell Robinson, Deuce McBride. They have all of these guys. We know what they're capable of. We know how they play. Granted, Karl Anthony Towns, you don't know what you're getting out of him on a nightly basis. He could either drop 30 or he could drop like 5. And just, he could either carry your team or he could be an anchor. That is the sentiment. Now, mind you, I am not a big basketball guy. I'm not a Knicks fan. I don't pay attention to them that much. But from what I can gather, from what I've seen, Karl Anthony Towns is very up and down. If he's good, the team is nearly unstoppable. But when he's not, that makes things a lot harder. And I know we know what Jalen Brunson is in the playoffs. He's averaged nearly 30 points a game for the Knicks in the playoffs. He has been phenomenal. In the fourth quarter, there is nobody else on this planet I would like having the ball in their hands more than Jalen Brunson. But the point is, dude, there has to be synergy. They have to get off to the good starts. I know that was a big thing. Mike Brown talked about it in the post game from the Celtic game, where there was like, oh yeah, they got off to a good start. And, it helped ultimately, but the Knicks, I don't know what I can really say about them. There's a good team. They have the new coach. They don't have Tom Thibodeau. They have a guy who's willing to dip into the bench a little more, Landry Shamet, guys like that. So there's reason to believe this year. The Pacers aren't in the way. We know they can and have beaten all of the teams really surrounding them. They beat the Pistons in the first round last year. Granted, this is a way different Pistons team, and it was a close series last year. They beat the Celtics last year with Jason Tatum for most of the series, mind you. They were 3-1 in the games where Jason Tatum started. They beat the Cavs. The problem is they haven't beaten the Hawks and all the other teams. They beat the Sixers. We know they can win. We know this. Also, I think it's hilarious how the Miami Heat are always just in the play-in. They're not bad enough to tank, but they're also never good enough to be like automatically in the first round. Oh, man. But again, the Knicks, I like their chances, but ultimately they've got to get over the hump. It's simple. I don't really know what else I can say. What I do want to comment on, though, that the first playoff game, when I was doing some digging for this, I found out that the first playoff game is on Prime Video. You heard that right. Amazon Prime Video is where the New York Knicks The New York Knicks, the biggest attraction in all of basketball, are going to be playing their first playoff game. Prime Video. This is part of a greater problem. Like, I just did this for a video on Sports Grid where I was talking about the DOJ and they're looking into like the streaming deals and all that. But like, this is an opinion that I have. I feel somewhat strongly about this. Dude, these streaming deals with all the leagues are getting ridiculous. It's to the point where you have to buy, like, you have to spend upwards of like hundreds of dollars a year on these streaming services just so you can watch your team play. It's getting to the point where piracy is the only real option. And I know I can't outwardly say on here that I'm in favor of piracy, but all I'll say is that, like, I'm not against it. They force people to go there because we're already in an era where life is unaffordable. And you can't watch the games. And Prime Video, that's mild. That's mild because Amazon Prime, okay, if you don't have Amazon Prime, I mean, what are you doing with your life? I mean, this is like, it's an essential to have, like, for anything. And it's not that expensive either. Like, that's the generous one, is Prime Video. Talk about stuff like Peacock and Netflix and ESPN Plus. Those are the bad ones. Those are the ones that'll kill you. And, you know, this is sort of the last point I want to make here on this, but this is why, again, like, everyone, when streaming was first becoming a thing, everyone was so eager to cut the cord and get rid of cable because they thought cable was ripping them off and it was so stupid. And yeah, no, that was a mistake. And even I thought at the time, I wasn't crazy about cord cutting. And now you're seeing the result of it, where you have too many people cutting the cord. You're creating a new influx of demand for streaming services because they cut the cord. They don't have an option. They decided, like, yeah, we're going to streaming. We're going to this. We're going to YouTube TV. We're going to the internet. We're going fully digital now. So as a result, these streaming services can jack up prices like crazy. If you look at Netflix's base subscription with no ads 10 years ago and compare it to now, it's over doubled. Maybe even tripled at this point. I don't know. If you look at HBO Max, that subscription has increased. Look at Peacock. That subscription has increased because people are voluntarily going there and it's becoming a new necessity. If cable were still the big thing, there'd be competition and maybe it would drive prices down because they would want more customers at the end of the day. That's what these companies want. They want consumers for advertisers. And when the cord was cut, it only shifted the greed to other parties. And with these sports leagues, it has just gotten really bad. It's terrible. And it's culminating in stuff like this, where the traditional sports network is really dying. I mean, sports are the only thing keeping cable TV alive now. And we're now at the point where playoff games in every single major sport are being played on these streaming services. And that's only going to drive up more demand, which is going to drive the prices up even more. And, you know, it's all started with cord cutting. You're cutting the cord, and it's killed consumers. It sucks. And I think that's about the last point that I'm going to make here. I don't really have anything else. You know, next week we're going to be talking about the Stanley Cup playoffs. That's a fun little thing. You know, the Buffalo Sabres winning the Atlantic Division, winning 50 games. Oh, yeah, Lindy Ruff, the head coach there. Great job. New Jersey Devils getting rid of all the wrong getting rid of all the right people and keeping all the wrong ones. And then the Metropolitan Division, dude, the Flyers making it to the playoffs, dude, that's ridiculous. You got the loser point everywhere. Oh, man. The West, I mean, the Utah Mammoth making it into the playoffs. How's that? How's that for a little fun story? But again, I mean, I'm sure everybody in Arizona is real mad about that. I mean, the LA Kings making it with only 35, clinching a playoff spot with only 35 wins with 2 games left to play. The San Jose Sharks have 3 more wins than them. Dude, that would have been, I would have loved to have seen that team in the playoffs as a second wild card going up against the Colorado Avalanche. Dude, the San Jose Sharks as a wild card team, that is a death trap for Colorado. Dude, that was, oh man, dude, Macklin Celebrini, Will Smith. You got a really good group of players right there who would be able to take down a President's Trophy winner. But yeah, oh, dude, okay, I'm looking at the standings right now. The Vegas Golden Knights are leading the Pacific Division with 38 wins. They have more losses than wins, and they might win their division. Oh, the Yankee lineup. Okay, at your behest.
Okay.
At your behest. I saw the lineup. Yes, I know I have 5 minutes left. Yes, I'm going to break down this lineup. Okay, at the behest of the people in the room, I'm going to talk about the Yankee lineup. I saw it. I'm not bringing it down. Okay, leading off first base, Paul Goldschmidt. I mean, benching Ben Rice for 2. I mean, I understand Paul Goldschmidt playing against lefties. Aaron Judge batting second. Okay, Ahmed Rosario batting third. Okay. I mean, he's good against lefties. He's been swinging a hot bat lately. I don't hate it. I mean, Giancarlo Stanton batting cleanup. I mean, he's going to die in the Yankee cleanup spot. Trent Grisham, Randall Grichuk. Okay, you know, Randall Grichuk. I'm not allowing myself to get mad. But Randall Grichuk is going nowhere. I mean, I know Trout robbed him of a homer last night, but Grichuk is just, he's useless. I mean, Austin Wells at catcher, Jose Caballero at shortstop, Ryan McMahon at third base, Ryan Weathers starting. So I'm not mad about it. I mean, Rosario batting third is weird. I won't lie. It's a little wonky to see. But yeah. Whatever, man. Anyways, that'll be all for me today. You know, next week, going to be talking about some Stanley Cup playoffs. Going to be talking about the NBA playoffs, the New York Knicks. Going to have more baseball, the NFL draft coming up, obviously. But I'll have more on the draft on Radiothon on WIUR next week. And have the all-day stream. That's going to be fun. So, anyways, this has been Woolley Mammoth Mondays. I'm your host, Cam Woolley, saying so long and have a good one.